Hello. Welcome to Beverly's Kitchen. My name is Beverly Lucas, and I am the host of For the Love of Cooking Fridays. What do we do on Fridays? I do my best to try to show you how to create a meal from scratch at home that is better than the restaurant. That's what we do. We do better than the restaurant. What are we going to make today, Beverly? Let me think about it. Today we are going to make my award-winning no bean chili. That's what we're going to make today. And I'll tell you as I make it why I call it the award-winning no bean chili. I am following the recipe in my cookbook, For the Love of Cooking. It is on page 22 and 23, and this is what it's going to look like when we get through. So, you with me? Come on and let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce to you the ingredients that we need for this recipe. So I'm just going to bring you right on over here so that you can see. We have some mild cheddar cheese. We have some sour cream, and this is for the topping. We have some scallions or some green onions, whatever you want to call them. That's for the topping. We have mushrooms, and mushrooms is the ingredient that I use to replace the beans because I don't like beans. We have some onion powder, garlic powder. Of course, we need some chili powder. And my secret ingredient is Kraft barbecue sauce. And I usually get the one with honey, so we're going to add some honey also. We have some hot pepper, cayenne pepper. We have cumin. And then my favorite, we have rotel, diced tomatoes, and green chili. I have one fresh tomato that we'll put in the chili when it's all done. We have garlic, onion, and right here are my prized possessions from my own garden. We have some peppers. This is a purple pepper, a green pepper, and then we have this little red baby pepper, and we are going to use it. I also use McCormick chili packet. And of course, we have to have our ground beef. And I have 1 cup of rice. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put the water on for the rice. So it is 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. So in here I have 4 cups of water, so I'm going to use 2 cups of rice. So I'm going to wait for that to boil. And in the meantime, I didn't have this out, but we want to add 1 bouillon cube. Actually, it's 4 cups, so I should probably add 2. So we're going to add two bouillon cubes. Now, the story behind the chili is I moved to Maryland in the year of 2000. And we were searching for a church, and we had went to a few churches. And I walked in the church, Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church. And I just felt at home. And I felt that that was the church that we should be at. I mean, when I walked in, I remember they were singing a Fred Hammond song. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be the church. Because at that time, Fred was my man. So they announced that they were having a chili cook-off. And I knew I made an amazing chili. Now, this was 23 years ago. I still have the trophy 23 years ago. And I didn't know anybody, and I just decided that I was going to participate in this chili cook-off. Okay, let me pause for a minute with the story because I want to get my heat started for my ground beef. So this ground beef is 80-20. So that means it's 20%, only 20% fat. And how I do it, I break it up so that when I season it, you can see how I break it up so that when I season it, the season gets to each part of the beef. I'm going to do it like that. So I'm going to let that begin to cook. I have it on medium. Let me wash my hands. So, back to the story. So, I don't know anybody. I hadn't met anybody yet. I determined that I was going to be a part of this contest. So, I can't remember how many people it was, but it was a lot of chili. And it was about, I don't know, 4 judges, and they went around tasting the chili. And I won. I won. I won, and nobody knew who I was. And the funny thing about that church is everybody that's there or that comes to those types of events, they've been there for a while. So everybody knows everybody. So nobody knew me, but I won. So my husband at the time, he said, when I was making the chili, he said, "You're not going to win. I don't know why you're doing that." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to let you think that." When I came home, first thing I did when I walked in the door, I was like, guess who won the chili contest? It was me. It was me. It was me. So since then, I've been making this chili. Well, I was making it before then, but I still make the chili. I still make it the same way. I still use the same ingredients. And again, you can do it also because it's in my cookbook. So if you don't have a copy of my cookbook, you can get it at fortheloveofcooking.biz. And it'll take you right to order the cookbook, and I will autograph it for you. Okay, so we have our beef. So what we need to do is we are going to season our beef. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to season the meat. I'm going to take some salt. Probably about, I don't know, that's probably about a teaspoon. I'm going to take some pepper. I'm not grinding it up today. And also to that, I'm going to add some onion powder. And, oops. Yeah, you know what? Let me measure it. Let me measure. 1 teaspoon. Of onion powder. One teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay, so that is a teaspoon of garlic powder. I know it looks like a lot, but trust me on this one. We're going to take a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Let me do it over this cup. And a 1/2 teaspoon of some cayenne pepper. We're just going to mix this all up. Like this. To get all the seasonings all around. And we're going to let that brown. In the meantime, I'm going to chop up my peppers and mushrooms. Okay, so while the meat is still cooking, and I'm going to add my onions. They're flying all over the place. So we're going to add the onions. We add the onions now so that it gives the flavor to the meat. And it absorbs some of that fat, which makes it delicious. And now I am going to prepare my peppers. I'm going to cut my beautiful peppers. I had so much fun with my garden this year. And I can't wait till next year. And one of the things I did with the purple peppers is I saved the seeds. So let me move this out the way so I can keep those and I can grow them again for next year. Green peppers are readily available. You hardly ever see a purple pepper. Just take the middle out. And then we have this miniature red pepper, but we're going to use it. All right. our peppers done. We're gonna take my little favorite contraption. I need to stir this a little bit. I also put the rice in, so let me stir that. When that comes to a boil, I will put the top on it. So I just take these like this, and they just get chopped up. Just like that. I love it. All right. That's my favorite contraption from Amazon. And now I'm going to add the peppers in. And you could use anything. You could use turkey. You could use chicken. My preference is just beef. And you can already see how chunky this is going to be because of the vegetables, and I have not even added the mushrooms. Let's prepare the mushrooms. Just gonna turn this over. And I don't really need to cut them, but the big ones, I just want to break them up just a little bit. Because, you know, mushrooms shrink too, but I don't want the chunks too big. I purchased them pre-sliced. I love mushrooms. I love to eat them raw. I love them in salads, in soups. And, you know, mushrooms takes on the flavor of whatever you cook them with. So they really don't have a strong flavor when they're raw. It's a really bland taste, but I still like it. All right. We have our mushrooms ready. So I'm going to let this cook for a few minutes, and then I'm going to transfer this into a bigger pot because we wouldn't be able to fit everything in here as it is. And I see that my rice is boiling, so I'm going to stir that, and I'm going to get the top for that. I hope it's this one. Yes. And I'm going to turn it down to low. I'm going to set my timer right now for 15 minutes. I use the timer a lot, especially when I'm cooking multiple things. I already know this is going to be absolutely delicious. It's going to be delicious, first of all, because I made it. And it's going to be delicious because it's going to have layers of flavor. And you really don't even notice that there's no beans in it because it's going to be so chunky with all the vegetables. Okay, so the rice is done. So I've taken care of that. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my packet of chili seasoning and I'm going to put that in first because that flavors the meat with all the other seasonings that we added. So first I just stir that around. And if you read the directions on here, it says to add ground beef, turkey, diced tomatoes, and kidney beans. So I read that to you because I don't have the liquid from the kidney beans. So I'm going to put in the tomatoes, and then I'm going to put in a half a cup of water. And then if you know me with anything, we have to have some sugar, and I'm going to get some honey. It's all the way up top. And I'll put a little honey in here or sugar. And sugar helps to bring out the flavor of the tomatoes. Okay, I think that is all my ingredients. Chili powder. I still put some in, but I'll taste it once it simmers. Looks delicious. I'm going to turn it down, and we are going to finally add in our mushrooms. Again, which will take on all these delicious flavors. And I can't forget about the barbecue sauce. Probably about, I don't know, 1/4 cup. I'll let it simmer and then I'll taste it and see if it needs anything else. But let me show you what it looks like right now. Let me bring you on over here. It looks delicious. So my rice is done. So I have that sitting here. You have to have chili over rice. And then I have my chili here. I've added all the other ingredients, including a little bit more chili powder. Also, I added some honey because I didn't have the honey with the barbecue sauce. And I added the barbecue sauce. And I am just going to let it simmer probably for at least, I don't know, about 45 minutes so that the broth or the sauce of it can get a little thick. And then I'm gonna prepare our toppings. The toppings are going to be green onions. You gotta have the cheddar cheese and sour cream. I'm telling you, this is gonna be so good. And it really didn't take that long to prepare. So ready to plate our chili. So I broiled some bread and put some butter and just a little bit of garlic powder on it. And I have our rice. And then we have our chili that has been simmering. So I'm just going to take it, and it's still nice and hot. And I'm going to put it right on top here. See if you can see that. Let me get our cheese. And also, let me get a paper towel so that we can have a clean plate. Okay. Looks so good, so good. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the cheddar cheese and I'm going to place that on top like that. And then I have our sour cream. And I'm just going to give it a little dollop. A dollop will do you. And then we're going to take some of our green onions and place it on top. That's a meal. So do what it is that you love to do. Don't be a stranger. Till next time, till next Friday, I'll see you then. Thank you so much for joining me.